very much. It certainly has never happened before to me, and I appreciate the sentiment behind it. Please be seated. Almighty God, grant to us all needed guidance, wisdom, and judgment as we face the tasks before us, and enable us now and always worthily to discharge the sacred trust placed by the people in our hands. Amen. Apologies. Now we've got one for lateness, have we?
I've got an apology from Councillor Clark, Your Worship. He'll be late. He's just getting a job done, and apologies for me because I'll have to leave if I get a telephone call. So I'm expecting to get a couple of important telephone calls.
We better have an apology for lateness. I'll move. Second. Thank you. Declaration of interest. Any changes to that? No. And public forum. Anyone speaking to that? Okay. Major late items. Yes.
Councillors, there are a number of major late items today, and the reason for that is because of the timing of meetings. You'll see that we're looking for you to receive the minutes of the PPP committee meeting of last week, both the public and public excluded session. Obviously, the PE minutes will be taken in PE. Then from the risk and assurance committee meeting just held this morning, there are the recommendations only in relation to the unaudited draft annual report, which we would like you to receive and resolve in public excluded. And there is a recommendation to council arising from the meeting this morning that we'd like you to consider. They're all major items insofar as we're asking you to pass a resolution that relates to them, and the reason is that to allow you to deal with them in this term of council, please.
I'll move that way, Your Worship.
Moved.
Seconded, Your Worship.
And seconded. Any further discussion? Put it to the vote. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. We move on to the minutes of the meeting of Council held on the 23rd of August.
I'll move those. Seconded, Your Worship.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion, questions? Put it to the vote. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Minutes of the Risk and Assurance Committee meeting held on the 25th of August.
I'll move those, Your Worship.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Put it to the vote. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Minutes of the Bluff Community Board meeting held on the 12th of September 2022.
I'll move those, Your Worship.
Second them, Your Worship.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, questions? Put it to the vote. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Minutes of the Infrastructural Services Committee held on the 13th of September 2022.
Yes, Your Worship, I would like to move that we receive the minutes and also adopt the recommendations, and they are the adoption of the parking control bylaw as in regards to 4th Street as highlighted in the minutes, and also adopt the recommendation to Council of the parking control bylaw for Kew Road and Ness Street as highlighted in the minutes, and also adopt the cemeteries and crematorium bylaw as well as in the minutes.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, questions? Put it to the vote. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Moved the minutes of Infrastructural Services Committee meeting held on the 13th of September 20.
Just on that, Your Worship.
Oh. Recommendations to Council. They're up on the screen. Is that right? Sorry,
Another beaker, perhaps you could move. Oh, there is one, number 12, the road stopping and disposal of stocked road.
Oh, also, sorry, there's one missed out there. Sorry, that's the recommendation for the road stopping and disposal of stopped road at Lagan Street. I'd like to move that, Your Worship.
I'll second it as a continuation.
moved and seconded. Put it to the vote. Oh, sorry, any discussion? If not, I'll put it to the vote. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now these appendices have had everything dealt with. Invercargill City Council Holdings Limited purchased the shares in Roaring Electricity Limited Partnership. Certainly was a controversial issue. Oh, that's all right. We, like to encourage. Oh. There's quite a few issues where acid stripping was a sort of no-no in the Three Waters debate, and a lot of the resolutions that we'll be dealing with later on the agenda do have a sort of an undertone for those who oppose asset stripping. It certainly is an issue that it may not be in the short term, but in the long term could have ramifications on a wide scale. Electricity, of course, is those who've sat round this table for some time will know that the shares in various electricity companies have always been a issue that have councillors I had to wrestle with on many occasions.
the Invercargill City Holdings purchase of shares, and Mr Cameron's here ready to speak to his report.
Mr Cameron, would you like to speak to your report?
Thank you, Worship. This matter has come before Council previously where there was some consultation around this purchase. This paper seeks to remedy an error where we neglected to pass the appropriate recommendation that came up from the committee in terms of accepting the outcome of that consultation and approving the ability to go ahead with the purchase. The second part is to, as shareholder, pass a resolution to enable yourself as the Mayor to sign an authority for the company to undertake what would be a major transaction for the company. And the third piece of information that this paper updates is the question around whether or not the company would be considered to be a council-controlled organisation following the purchase. And the advice that we have from Audit New Zealand is that they would treat it as such, and we're comfortable with that advice and happy to progress with the purchase on that basis. Happy to answer any questions.
Yes, any other comments to be made? Councillor Ludlow.
Thank you, Your Worship. As Mr Cameron said, we did go through the issue at PPP, which is sent through the recommendations to Council. I'm happy to move the 4 resolutions up on the screen, sir.
Happy to second those, Your Worship. Can I just suggest that resolution number 1 needs written out in full?
Thank you, Councillor Soper. It will be in full on your board books, and Malavika will just make sure that it shows correctly.
Any further issues councillors wish to address on electricity? Not, I can put it, So I'll put it
Moved and seconded.
moved and seconded. Put it to sorry, Councillor Ludlow, what was the issue you were raising?
No issue, sir. I was just moving the 4 recommendations.
Okay. There being no further discussion, I'll put it to the vote. All in favour say aye.
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 Against, carried. Move on to the dog and animal control update. As a result of the review, it has been necessary to re-escalate the Animal Control Fund.
That's the, Your Worship, you're on item 11, the minutes of PPP on 20 September.
So, Your Worship, I'm happy to move the minutes received and that the recommendations to Council under item 7 for the Dog and Animal Control Fund update be adopted.
Second that.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Questions? Put it to the vote. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Urgent business?
No, there is none. Sorry, the late items, there were a couple in public. So there's one in front of you.
And,
We'll come back to that, Councillor.
sorry?
We'll come back to that,
To what?
to the mayoral report.
No, I wasn't going to mention that. I just really wanted to give notice of perhaps a personal statement, that's all.
Your Worship, I'm happy to move the recommendation that's currently on the screen.
I'm happy to second it.
It's moved and seconded and resolved that the recommendation to council arising from the Risk and Assurance Committee meeting held on the 27th of September 2022 be confirmed. Is there a mover and seconder for that?
Councillor Soap has moved it and Councillor Amundsen has seconded it.
Okay. Any no further discussion? Put it to the vote. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. And move on to the Assurance Committee meeting held on the 27th of September 2022 be confirmed.
We've just done that.
And we've done that, so move on to item 10.
That's the recommendation that's been confirmed, Your Worship. Councillor Rabbit was asking if you could make a personal statement.
Oh, yes. Where is he?
He's on screen.
Yes, Councillor Abbott, you wish to make a personal statement?
Yes, I do. With your permissions, I wish to make a personal statement and just remind people that it's not debatable. It is a personal statement. And I'll lead it off. I'm scripted it, so I'm going to read it. No apologies. And I'll start by saying, all the world's a stage and all the men and women are merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Well, I had an entrance in 1971 when I was 22. And in those times, the youngest elected councillor in the history of New Zealand. That's changed, of course. A break for many years while I explored and fulfilled dreams, ambitions and love, and then a return in 2007, which takes me to 18 years in total. Now, as the quote from Jacques' 7 Ages of Men says, I take my exit. I'm not sure if it's stage left or stage right, so I never ever got that right. Did I, Darren? In Romeo and Juliet, parting is sweet sorrow. I'll abridge that and say parting is quite sweet. The COVID epidemic had a huge effect on me personally, and to be frank, still does. I have impending further serious operations that could be called at any time. And surgeons and medical experts have suggested that categorically I stay safe and my associations be limited. So with the utmost respect to them and what they've done for me, it goes without question that I needed to play that part too. I did so as a matter of gratitude and deepest heartfelt thanks. My non-association resulted in my non-attendance physically in a personal capacity at council. But the technology of Zoom, etc., still allowed me to participate. I have, however, determined that it was unfair of me to utilise the use of Zoom and to deny a place around the council for a candidate in the forthcoming elections. Just to go back and reflect on my hospital admissions for a minute, I would like to thank Tim Shadbolt for his many visits and to the bedside and his gifts, and also the genuine concerns and offer of assistance from Darren Ludlow and Graham Lewis. Our CE also frequently inquired about my welfare and health and offered alternatives and suggestions to abilities to attend, and I thank you for that, Claire. Another realisation was that at 73 years of age, the world had moved on at what seems to me at an alarming rate. And whilst I resisted many changes, like King Canute, I cannot hold the flow of tie back of technology, the new speak with abbreviations, the new dynamics, the consistent technical and reports, and the bloody rules. I don't get to start on that too much, but yes, that phrase again, in the good old days, and they were good old days. I just tell you that we took arguments to the public hallways. They were packed with both points of view firmly in place. And what would now be termed as perhaps disorderly were only raised voices, tables banged, chairs and booze. But you know what? There were never any fisticuffs or bad mouthing. And there was nothing physical. And the audience, as they left, would be accompanying each other, still perhaps continuing their debate, but with respect. I've said before, in my opinion, debate has been stifled by the implementation of rules, regulations, procedural methods, and the ever-increasing threat of personal grievances. There have been many petty, I call, investigations and workshops on behaviourism and team building facilitated by out-of-town facilitators. The cost to this council, tens of thousands of dollars. Seriously, I did not then, and I never do, see the value of those dollars, and I don't see a lot of behavioural changes. And I evidence that without taking sides. A prime example, and that is or was the consistent barrage of criticism, fault finding, and the faction between the mayor, councillors, and CE. I will say no more about that subject, and the public's perception will be reflected in results of the present ongoing election. In my moments of self-reflection, I recognise my lack of the new skills base, the ever-constant changing rules, as I mentioned, and I came to the conclusion it was time to move on and give others an opportunity. And I believe that others of that would, in my opinion, be wise to do the same. At 73 years of age, I did not want to become the epitome of a grumpy old man, sans teeth, sans mind, sans memory, again attributed to Jacques, the ages of men. I cannot and will not let this moment pass without a reference to Councillor Kett. 2 months prior to the nominations, a sudden awakeness and public sought endorsement for his accusations regarding Three Waters. He was flying a kite, in my opinion. Councillors Soper, Armidston, Crackett, Ludlow, Lush, and myself were passionate advocates against Three Waters and were parties to strong representation to the Minister and a continued advocacy on the ratepayers' behalf. All of those mentioned beforehand, all they did was to prefer the Council's choice of action rather than be a party to a minority group which were not well informed, had a potential to become hostile, and had a considerable membership of persons outside the Invercargill electorate. Other representations in this advertisement are at best coloured and not represent the true outcome on facts. And that seems to be a modus operandi of the individual. Good luck to you all in the forthcoming elections, and may the best of you win. My ambition is to watch closely on the sidelines, make public comments, and don't assume that they'll be negative. Some will be, of course. My biggest and most sincere thanks go to the electors of Invercargill, who have, over a period of 80 years, supported me, encouraged me, debated with me, and assisted me. It is you, the people, that have been my foremost considerations and made the journey worthwhile. So I thank you, people of Invercargill. Enough said, just to quote from a great old song called Wandering the King's Highway. And the lyrics go like this: I've never been a rover, summer and winter too, wandering the wide world over, trekking my whole life through. But as I start my journey, and this is the new one, at the end of another day, I give a health to comrades and pals of the great highway. So, comrades, farewell. What if we never meet again? The memory will stay as I go, rain or snow, wandering the King's Highway. Thank you.
Thank you. Urgent business. Is there any urgent business?
No, there isn't, Your Worship. You haven't dealt with your mayoral report.
I haven't dealt with.
Your mayoral report. Did you
Oh.
want to move that it be received?
The next item is the mayoral report, and I've circulated them to all the councillors. And it's come back now as a list of items that I've been involved in during this election period, but I'm trying to keep as neutral as possible. It's difficult, challenging, and it is always a challenging task balancing our responsibilities to the voting, discharging of our electoral position. This term has been no exception, and I would like to believe that we have each other learned the importance of basic pillars in our elected roles. And then it goes on to the discussion about the mayoral robes. I think both parties have reached agreement because I don't feel I'm in a position to and it needs to. I wish to thank the families of councillors who have supported us over the last 3 years. Often fraught it can be, but we've got through the work in terms of the inner city upgrade and infrastructural pressures on our roading system and water in particular. I was yesterday attended the Queen's honour and service, and I was amazed to hear that one of the mayors said he had voted in the last 3 elections and stood for office, and he wasn't a New Zealand citizen. So it seems people can still slip through if they're not careful to check up on their positions. On the one hand, of course, it should be left to the next incoming council, but I feel that there's also an argument, a legitimate argument, suggesting that that we engage in a wide range of activities. Beside the traditional salute to the Queen, I found it encouraging and incredibly encouraging and that Ngāi Tahu and Council met to try and plant 1 million trees, and it was certainly inspirational seeing such a large-scale project involving many sectors of the community. So I'll move my report be received.
I'll second that.
Second that, Your Worship, and thank you for your service over the years.
Thank you. Any further comments, discussion? Put it to the vote. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Malavica's got it on the screen. Here we are.
What are you suggesting, Claire? Where's the item here? Oh,
Your Worship, I'm happy to move that we move into public excluded for the reasons outlined here on the screen, to the confirmation of the minutes of the public excluded session of Council held on 23rd of August, public excluded session of Risk and Assurance on 25th of August, that we received some minutes of the Infrastructural Services Committee in PE for the 13th, and Invercargill Central Holdings Limited director appointments.
oh.
Second that.
The receiving of the minutes of the public excluded session of PPP on the 20th of September, and the 2022 draft annual report, unaudited version.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
I already had.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Moving. To support democracy in action. It's not an easy road to travel, but it's an important one when you see the variety of work that's involved. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried.